Dober dan, Yam fam. We'd spent a few days travelling down the coast of Bulgaria and we were ready to hit the road west and traverse all about the Balkan Mountains, which pretty much spans the length of Bulgaria and beyond. We had a good day of cycling as we headed towards Tica. There were some decent climbs to Veliki Preslav and nice descents as we started towards the mountains. I was having a great time, feeling super fit, but I think Lily was a bit drained. It had been quite an intense few days and we were probably due a bit of a rest time as well. We did manage to find a great camping spot near Tica and I was super proud of it because I was like, this is nice, flat, hidden away, perfect, no one's gonna find us. This is our wild camp spot for the evening. It's very nice, but there are lots of flies. Liliana's made a nice soup.
Salt, the only seasoning.
The only seasoning is salt. Yay! Apart from the flies, we were pretty happy. Happy except that we were not hidden at all. There was a really sharp bend in the road nearby, so basically every car that was driving past would slow down so much that then they would just make direct eye contact with us. So it was a bit disconcerting. Nevertheless, we got to bed and then an hour or so later, a car very clearly was pulling up to where we had camped. It stopped and I could hear people coming towards us and I was like, this is it. This is where we die. To my horror and sort of relief, it was two policemen. It is illegal to wild camp in most places across Europe, but it's usually just sort of let go as long as you don't camp on private land and you're smart about it and you just don't take the piss and wreck the place. But now, I did feel that we were in a bit of a situation as two policemen approached our tent. Thankfully though, they just asked a few questions about where we were from, how long we were going to be staying in this spot, and then where we were going to. They gave us details to call in case of an emergency, and told us to make sure that our bikes were locked in case they got stolen, and that it was going to rain a bit tonight. Honestly, it was such a relief. I was so stressed that we were going to get the jail or going to get fined, but all was well. Except that rain he mentioned. It wasn't just a drizzle, it was a full-on thunderstorm. And you know when you do that counting thing when you're trying to work out how far the lightning flash and then the rumbling thunder is so you can see the sort of distance of how close it is? Well, we were doing that and there was a flash and then an immediate bang. It scared the hell out of us. Basically, did not sleep at all that night. I genuinely thought we were going to die. And why was it that in every country we went to, it just felt like we were almost going to get struck by lightning? In the morning, thankful for not being dead, we started out towards Elena. There was a campsite in a tiny village nearby. The riding was good fun, lots of good up and downhill, and lots of small villages that we passed through. It was interesting to visit the countryside here. There were a lot of contrast between some of the villages, some being filled with life and construction, lots going on, and others totally dead and basically overrun by dogs. One village had about 30 street dogs that all went completely mental and chased us through the entire place. It was a good laugh, but it was just a bit too hectic for me to film the dog chase relay race. The campsite, Camping Lucky as it was called, was a bit more like in Romania where it had bungalows instead of places to pitch. It was still cheap though, about 40 lev for a full mini house for 2 nights, which is about 18 quid, so pretty good deal for 2 people for 2 nights. And it was so worth it. We got some real chill time here, reading, relaxing, doing a bit of maintenance, but mainly just taking it easy. We did go into Elena for some food where we got into an argument about tomatoes and Lily called me a brat, which is incorrect, but given we'd spent 6 months together and this was our biggest fight on the road, I think we did alright. The campsite had a sort of resto, basically where they just had homemade dishes made for us. It was super duper tasty. A lot of the food across Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia and Slovenia is pretty similar and I love it. Bulgaria in particular has very good produce and they take total advantage of it, especially the tomatoes. We were a bit sad to leave this little paradise, but we managed to book a warm shower host in Gabrovo, so we continued our journey west through the mountains. The host actually wasn't in town and had arranged for his pal Ivan to come and look after us, but he didn't finish work till about 6:30, so we had a nice leisurely day making our way towards the city, even taking the time to visit a monastery and this absolutely solid statue, which was rare for us to be proper sightseers. I think at this stage in the trip, I was simply happy. No real cares in the world apart from being called a brat. We were just on the road, going with the flow, no real worries at all. Extreme close-up! Coming into Gabrovo was stunning as well. Ivan came to meet us and took us to the flat. He was so nice and had a very lovely old dog as well. I remember thinking before he found us at the meeting spot that we really had no idea who this person was or what he looked like. It was a friend of a host on a pretty obscure app, and we were just trusting that we'd meet and then we'd spend the night in this stranger's home. At the time, it all just seemed so normal, but when you start to think about it, it is kind of crazy. So it's best not to think about it too much and just go with it. Ivan spent ages cooking us a lovely meal. We talked about all sorts of things and it was refreshing to have a young host to shoot the breeze with. Without us knowing it, he stayed up till about 1 in the morning making us crepes for breakfast, which were absolutely delicious. We went to his work the next day to say goodbye, and he gave me his cycling crew's custom jersey as well, which was super duper generous. Excellent times. I only hope I can be as good a host as him one day. The next 2 days we had some perfect bike touring. Travelling up through the mountains and zigzagging about. We spent the night in Troyan in a guest room which I have zero evidence of being in that city except these 2 extreme paintings, but I do recall that we ate a pizza, which was good.
We're still in Bulgaria. We've been going all through the Balkan Mountains. We went to like Shumen, then to Troyan, where we stayed last night. And we've just passed Shipkovo and we're now doing a pass between here and Rybartsi, I think. I can't remember how it's called. But it's like 1,200 meters. It's not too bad. We're super strong now. Whoa! Whoa! Now we're gonna continue making our way through the Balkans and then we'll kind of go a bit up north and then down through a nice valley. So we're here into Sofia where we'll stay for 2 nights. I cannot wait to go back to Sofia because I was there a few years ago with my friend Paul and we had a great time. Nice coffee, nice food, nice beer. So I'm looking forward to exchanging these new places I've been to with Liliana. And yeah, so we're making our way up to the top. Just filled up my bottles with some nice cold spring water, so hopefully I don't die. But someone else just came and filled up all their bottles, so I think we've drank water from the source in almost every country, apart from maybe like France, and it's always been fine. In Romania there's water everywhere from the sources. I think we only had one bad experience when we got some from a well, which was fun to do the thing, but it tasted like dirt. Anyway, until next time!
After our climb over the pass I was talking about there, we had an extremely chill descent for what felt like hours. We joined the Vit? Not sure how to pronounce that. I'm going to go with Vit River, and when things plateaued into fields, we looked for a place to camp. There had been some good bits on the way, but there were also lots of other people. We were a bit unsure about it, so sought out our own secret spot. We ended up in a maze of field before finding this perfect riverside place. It was one of the nicest wild camps we had, so secluded and really beautiful. I even went for a dip and washed in the river in the Buff, which was quite chilly, but refreshing. I was having a nice time until I looked up and realised there was just a man standing not that far away fishing. I was a bit embarrassed and I got out and he left not long after that, which was fair enough. In the morning, we set out taking the small roads and aiming for a valley sort of gorge that follows the Ishkar River up towards Sofia. For the most part, we had a lovely day enjoying the weather and scenery and goats too.
I hope they're not in our way when we're like...
Hey, kitty! That's okay, that's the bad bread. Yeah, get away, get away, get,
He's the nicest farmer we've met, I think, in a while. He wasn't just staring at us like we were freaks.
Yeah.
He's like,
They're going for a drink. Oh, look at them. Kitties.
After that goat incident, things did deteriorate a bit further later on though. We took an old road towards Roman, which was in really poor conditions. It was very, very tough on the old buttocks. The area after that was pretty bleak as well, to be honest. A lot of parts of Bulgaria just felt so deserted. We were so happy to get to the gorge though in some paved tarmac and started following the Ishkar River through this beautiful area. We didn't really have a solid plan that night except for a rumour that you could buy a room at the Cherepish Monastery. It was getting late when we arrived and we were so worried that they turned us away like Mary and Joseph, but luckily they gave us a room. We did have to make sort of a weird salad since their kitchen had closed, but it was cool to stay at the monastery and have a warm bed for the night. It only cost us like £9 as well. I'm not sure how common it is for people to stay in places like this, but I felt really lucky at how things had worked out for us. The next day we zoomed to Sofia. I thought we'd have pretty good downhill through the gorge, but it felt like we were just climbing and climbing, and I realise now that the city's on a big plateau, so it just took us a while to climb up towards it. Still, the roads were really fun and it was a beautiful route to explore by bike. Some of the trains would honk if we waved at them too, which was excellent. I'd really been looking forward to going to Sofia again as well. It's actually part of the reason that we'd chosen to take this route, and I could not wait to show it off to Lily. Thank you so much for watching this latest episode of our big bike tour through Europe. If you have any thoughts about cycling through the Balkan Mountains, any questions, leave us a comment below. I'd love to talk about it with you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Goodbye.